Mhm. Mhm. Huh? Okay. Thank you. I'll come over there.
Hopefully, things starting to appear in the back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, our guest can have patience until she's introduced. Okay, this is Bob Bockelman. Welcome to the show. It is Artist Review on a Monday, and we're going to be featuring a New Orleans local artist who not only is an artist in her own right, but also owns her own gallery in our famous French Quarter, which is finally seeing visibility again. We will be happy to show today, though, her work, her exclusive work. We are hoping that several of our other artists might be on, but until such time, you'll need to go to the gallery itself to see some of their work in hand, or you can contact our artist, and she'll be glad to inform you of the associates that she represents in our gallery. Okay, so without further ado, let me see if we can bring her up. We want to welcome, there she is, Miss Corey June. How are you this morning? Well, this
I'm good.
afternoon.
How
I'll
are
get
you, Bob?
good. I'm sorry about our little technical situation, but I'm glad we resolved it before we went on air. So perfect.
I
Perfect.
know. I was not expecting that this morning at all.
I know, folks, and it does. I know it might seem to be that we're never well prepared, but we do. We do what we call a connectivity test way before we do the show to make sure everything's working. And it worked well the first time, but we got the reality. We had a little glitch. Important thing is we were able to clear it up, and we've got the lovely young lady here. Now, let's tell the people a little bit. Our first and the hardest question you'll have today is, are you a native of New Orleans? I think I know the answer. Go ahead.
No, I am not. I'm a transplant. I'm from Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
I just moved here in October to open the
Oh,
gallery. Yes,
okay.
yes.
Great. I knew.
Yeah, it was. I had been planning for a couple of years to come to New Orleans and do the starving artist thing, and really wanted to do Jackson Square. And I had, I'd saved the money and I had prepared myself, and I came down in September on for vacation to kind of look around and really see what areas I could live in and check out houses. And I left here
Right.
7 days later with a signed lease on a furnished apartment, and
Wow.
I came back 15 days later with a gallery. So,
Wow. What a boy, that's gotta be fast timing. I don't I know a lot of people move here quickly, but that's one of the shortest I've ever heard. That is congratulations, and of course, thank you for coming and bringing yourself and your work and the ability to portray a lot of our artists locally as well as nationally. Or I don't know how far you reach, but I know it's beyond our local shore. So tell us a little bit. Let's see what else we can ask you about before we get into your stuff. How did you, this is another tough, well, it might not be tough. When did you first realize you were interested, not so much in the gallery part, but with regard to just drawing, painting, or, any kind of desire that led you to this passion?
well, ever since I was a kid, I like to draw and things like that. I took a studio art class when I was in high school, and
Uh,
um, the moment I picked up a paintbrush, I knew God had given me a gift, and I didn't understand at that moment what it meant or how important it was. In fact, the first painting I had ever painted was a Jackson Pollock F style painting,
well,
before I ever knew who he was. And
oh, okay.
I was just I was lucky enough to have an art teacher that realized instinctively I was an abstract artist, and he continued to put paintbrushes in my hands, and that's just, I say that painting saved me, and it really did save me in a lot of ways.
Well, we know it's therapeutic to anyone who takes it up, even if it's just, like a little hobby or like, especially during COVID. I think we've had a lot of people try art during this period because it just helped fill the time. And I know it's been rewarding. Now, not everyone's the most successful, I'm sure, I know I couldn't do it. I can mix colors, but that's about it. I can't make any shapes. But anyway, well, we're so pleased that you pursued it. And we love to hear that origin because it usually starts with some little trigger like that. It's not like, I've been dreaming to be an artist since birth, It's usually like in a chef's thing, it's usually like a grandmother. They used to hang on and pull on her apron and she would get them involved just to keep them out of her hair. Anyway, so we're pleased to hear that. Now, let's go ahead and for those who haven't noticed, use a little scrolling banner if you can read it. I know I can, but Corey has mentioned that probably a good way to see some of her stuff and to get in touch with her is through her Facebook account. And notice it's French Quarter Art Gallery. So I won't have her name in the title. So look for that and anything you want to send to her. Now when we finish seeing all her work, we'll go back and reiterate. And if there's other, because I know she has some other ways too, we'll spell those out. But we wanted to get a consistent one that you could write down sometime during the show, as opposed to hearing a one-time blurb. And with my old ears and bad eyes, I never get any kind of connection if it's just blurted out one time on TV or wherever. Anyway, enough about that, my limitations. Let's see what we want to say. Well, let's talk real quick about the gallery with regard to, give us the address. I know it's on Decatur at 11, what is it?
I'm at 1129 Decatur Street.
Okay,
so
great.
I am in between the Santos and the Abbey on Lower Decatur.
Okay. Yeah, it's a few blocks before Esplanade or closer to, depending on what direction. And it's on the lakeside, not the riverside. But you'll find it. Once you get that close, you'll find it. There's no problem. Well,
you can't miss it. It's the big green and pink building.
Right. And she does a lot of events that flow outside right into it to let people know what's going on. We'll talk more about those specifically after we see her work. But just generally, what are your hours there, days that you're open, so that when people walk
Tuesday through Sunday, 12 to 10 p.m.
Okay. Wow. Nice. Yeah. Well, now you started. I guess you hopefully saw some traffic this weekend because I heard it was busy, huh?
We did. The past couple of weekends, the traffic's finally starting to come back. It's getting nice. People are coming out. So it's been very enjoyable in the first quarter of the past couple of weeks.
Hallelujah. Thank goodness, because we've all suffered. We've all suffered. We've all been suffering artists to our own self, whether we paint or not. It's been messy. All right. Anything else you want to say before we actually take a look at some of your work pieces that you brought? How about anything else? And
no, I think we're good.
Give me a second for this old man to get these things going. And there's our logo, of course. Here's our, ooh, wow. We're going to knock your socks off with this one, folks. Let's see if we can get it up here. We'll put it up first of all. We're going to put it up full. And there we go. Want to get full picture first, then we'll bring us back on. Wow. Talk about now. I think, I don't know if I said this or some other person referenced this. I have a big I'm not fascinated with owls, but a close friend of mine is, and I always buy her something related to that because she just has a huge collection. She's inundated at this point. I think she's kind of fed up that she said it. But this one, I know that might not be your intention, but it sure has that owl look. Those eyes are so penetrating. Tell us a little bit about it, please.
So actually, since I sent you this painting, it has sold. It has gone to the Midwest. Yes. When I painted this, it wasn't my initial intention to do owl eyes. A lot of times when I paint, I don't see the end result. I just paint for the sake of painting, and whatever comes out, the brush is what comes out really. It just happened to have been in this instance, I was painting more to the beat than I was to the lyrics of the song. And I just got lost in the rhythm. And before I realized it, I stepped back and I said, oh, well, I guess I'm painting an owl today. Wonder what that means.
Well,
And I tried to ignore it, but it was still there, and it just became predominant. And it wasn't just me; everybody saw it, and that's how it got sold. Was that the woman's husband came in? He said, "Oh my goodness, my wife loves owls." They came right back, and when she came in, she just and her mouth dropped, and I said, "Well, we know where that one's going." And sure enough, that's where it went.
I mean, on first glance, obviously the eyes are so penetrating, but you would think, oh, it can't be because look at those colors. What owls are red, white, blue, or something. But it won't give it up. That it is definitely an
Yeah,
owl.
it
Now,
definitely just looked right at you.
right. One thing we didn't mention, which we hopefully won't have to mention the same thing on each picture, as I've said before. Like John, what media do you normally use and like sizes? Like, is this
So,
representative of the media that you use, canvas or
yes.
something? Okay.
Well, oil is my preferred medium. Oil is my true
Okay.
love. I say that it is my first love. I painted with oils first. The first painting I did, like I said, even with that Jackson Pollock style, was an oil painting. A
Sure.
lot of the paintings that you're going to see today are acrylic style, because when I do my other style, which again is reminiscent of Jackson Pollock, or it's a very expressionist style, I use a lot of acrylic with those. I have been learning to break down the oil to be able to thin it out to throw paint with it. But a lot of them are a lot of the larger ones in that style are acrylic. This is an oil, and it happens to be about 3 feet by 2 feet, whereas a majority of my pieces range between 4 and 5 feet by somewhere between 3 and 6 feet.
Got it. Well, I love it. I mean, and I hate to say I'm shocked from this view that it's oil because the only thing I see, well, I heard artists say that the different, and again, I don't know anything about this stuff, but they'll tell us that acrylics, first of all, dry quicker. Oil is always a bit slower. So in that respect, it gives you a chance to move on to another, not still waiting for that to finish and stuff like that. But also, some of them always said, well, acrylics are just brighter colors. And I don't know, because most of the old masters and all were oil. If you look at them side by today's acrylic, there's definitely a different brightness in today's paintings than in the old masters, even though the subject and the beauty of the old master is never lost. But so I would have thought of top, this was acrylic. So, I mean, I like oil better as a permanent situation and an investment situation, but at the same time, and you've achieved what I thought was, like I say, naively, that was more related to the acrylic genre. So excellent. Well, congratulations on the sale. So folks, don't like it too much because it's buy to buy. Who knows? She might do some representations later. Huh?
Yeah, you can actually go to fineartamerica.com and search French Quarter Art Gallery, and a selection of my artwork plus other artists' work is actually located there, where you can buy photographic prints, giclées, and then you can get paintings printed on a multitude of other things as well. So this one is actually one of my acrylic pieces.
Wow.
This one is a 36 by 60. It's one of my newest pieces. I just painted it at the beginning of February. So I'm an expressionist, but I call myself an emotionalist. I paint when my soul says I have to paint. So usually it's because I have to work through something. And there was about a 3-week time period there where I consistently painted because I was working through some emotions about something that had happened with a family member. And this particular painting came from that. When I painted it, I actually stood on a table and threw paint out of glass jars from about a 5-foot distance from off of the canvas. So it's paintings like this that are the reason that I have carpets covering my studio floors.
But what I'm so remarkable about it is so many of the primary colors are included. Usually it's interspersed, but more with some of the other tones. This one is so right in your face. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Just wow, there it is.
Yeah.
Sort of like the owl's eyes. This whole
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
the brightness of those colors are just right there, and then
Yes.
softened a little bit with that light blue background, but then of course that whiplash of
I
the black whip. I think that's great.
I love using the bright, vibrant colors because they do steal your eyes, and you can't stop looking at it, because I feel like in pieces like this, even I stare at them every day because, they're hanging on the wall, but I still see something different every day. And then it's interesting to me what other people see just based off of the colors that their eyes are gravitated towards.
And this is I won't say an unusual, but for most people, unusual. I love larger pieces, and you said basically 3 by almost 5 feet, so that would be great in a linear wall or something, as opposed to a big wide one with those narrow walls like a hall or something like that. Absolutely great, and it is available. It sounds like you said might be still hanging. Okay,
it is available, and I will ship anywhere. So you can shoot me an email, you can send me a message on Facebook, you can come by the gallery. I literally live right above the gallery, so my working hours are my working hours. But to be honest with you, if the French Quarter is slow, there's a sign on the door that says I'm upstairs painting. Shoot me a message and I'll come down.
I was going to say, Corey was nice enough to invite myself and my friend Lynn down to her gallery. She had, like I say, you will hear more about some of the wonderful events on a Saturday night. She had a lovely musician, her band there, and some, I think, food and other artists painting. But this particular exhibit was a result of a challenge, I don't know, a collaborative challenge. I'm not sure. She'll explain better. And I know the subject of it was the third eye. So go ahead, take it from there. And this is so representative. Go ahead.
Yeah. So back before Christmas, I challenged the artists that I represent and guest artists that I had asked to be involved in the show to go out into New Orleans, and I wanted them to create their versions of the third eye, but they had to go out. They had to find other artists to work with. They couldn't work with each other, and they couldn't work with the same artist. And, in New Orleans, you think that the artists to work with would be abounding, but they definitely each ran into some snags, but they came to me with each having a collection of work of versions of the third eye, and that was our show. And I had one of the artists I represent went out and made shirts for all of them depicting their versions of the third eye. Like Bob said, we have music, we have food, it's always a fun thing. Well, this was one of my only pieces I showed in the show. Now, this one isn't oil, and this one actually is one of my larger pieces. It's 58 by 52.
Wow.
Right.
That I might not let you sleep.
Yes, it doesn't. I've had to move it because it has judged me a few times. It's in my living room, and I feel like it's telling me you're not working hard enough. You're not working hard enough.
Oh, it's a great one. It really is. I mean, it's just so vibrant and so so big, so monumental. So I think it's at first time I saw it, well, I knew it was a challenge, but I said, that really instead like a pair of lips swallowing something? I don't know what it is, but I mean, I just know it was just so fascinating. It kept going in so many directions in my mind, and that's because of one of its color.
This piece actually took me 3 sessions to paint. I had started painting this the night of my grand opening back in November.
Wow.
And people wanted my attention, and so they kept taking me from the painting, and it just wasn't happening. My mind said, okay, we're done. And so it hung in the gallery for a month, and it taunted me, and it was like, hey, I'm here. Hey, are you going to do something with me? Hey, I'm getting in your way. And so I painted it, and I thought I had finished it, and then I sent it and had it stretched, and I had it brought back, and then it's looking at me going, no, I'm not done. No, I'm not done. And so it taunted me for another couple of weeks, and then finally I did the vine on the inside of the eyeball, and there's actually people in the iris, and then and it's been hanging in the gallery, and it's still going, hey, hey,
Yeah.
I feel there's some things here. Hey, are you going to do something else to me? So
Sort of
it
like
just
the
got taken off the wall to go back upstairs so I could do something else to it.
sort of like that commercial, but a little twist on it. Can you see me now?
Right, right. Can you see
on
me
the
now?
phone, on the phone commercial. Yeah. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Really, it's so impressive. It really is. All right, but
Thank
we
you.
can't focus on just one. Now we're starting to get some of the colors that I really like that are different than the still some basics, but mixing in with a lot of the other tonage. So tell us what
Right.
we have here.
So the original, this is an oil painting, and the original is actually, I did it a few years ago. I painted it because of a boy. Isn't that what all girls say? It happened because of a boy. But it was a piece that, again, over the years, just I wasn't attached to and I wasn't excited about. And I'm not a big fan of painting over old paintings because I feel like you should keep something to show your growth. But I am learning to update old paintings because the number one rule in our gallery is you grow. And, growth also means sometimes going back and looking at our old pieces. And I had started playing with in this particular piece, I had started playing with a different kind of palette knife that I found that was silicone, and it turned into something that looked like Spawn. So now my artists go, oh, are you going to be a comic book artist now? Because that's what it looks like you're channeling.
But I'm glad you said that you are instead of doing over it, and that's one of the faults of the the deceased masters who would, because of limitation of funds or material, they would have to paint over there, and that's why so many restorations are discovering the earlier work that might not even be related to the final work. So here you're preserving that, so you still have two pieces, and you don't have to sacrifice a piece for another piece.
Right.
So that I think is a wonder, and I'm hoping more artists of today, and I'm hoping they do, follow that same direction as opposed, if they can, not start off.
I always encourage my artists. They go, Corey, I'm going to paint over, and I go, don't, just wait, because you want to keep the record of where you came from, or the different periods you were in, or the skills that you grew from, because it's important to show that growth as an artist. I mean, at least for me it is. And it's important for me, for the artists that I represent, that we continuously show their growth as artists, because to me, that's the best part about being an artist. So this one this one's actually one of my smaller ones. It's a 16 by 20. It's an oil as well. It is for sale. It's just whimsical. I was going through a breakup. Of course, this was 12 years ago. And this is when I still painted on small canvases. I paint on 16 by 20s now, but generally there are larger paintings that I paint. This one, like I said, was just an oil painting. It took me about 2 days to paint with the blue and the purple. And I am an artist who paints with a lot of blue, so you will see that as a recurring theme in a lot of my paintings, is very different saturations and hues of blue that I choose to paint with.
Yeah, I have noticed at least the blue and the purple. Sometimes I think the blue is the more predominant in your work, and I have no problem with it. But the combination of these two, I think, should be very. I'm surprised it's had so, because people are definitely, especially ladies and guys, I think, have trended so much toward purple in the last 15, maybe 20 years. So to include it in anything, I forgot I was going to tell you, but so fascinated by your discussion. What it reminded me of my first glance of it, once again, and remember, folks, I am visually impaired. So I hope the artists, I always tell them, don't be insulted if I see something that you don't intend or don't see. As long as it's not something vulgar or embarrassing. It's just the way I see things. That, first of all, all kind of vibrancy of color is my first intake in my visuals, and then shapes will actually start defining, and many times not what the artist or what everyone else is seeing. But I can't remember what it was. Well, at one point I saw it as 76. A 7.
I can see that.
Yeah, I said, but it can't be 76, because even the original 1776 would be red, white, blue, unless she's again going against trend. And there was something else I saw as well, but again, who knows? Who wants to hear my BS? Because they want to see what they want to see. But just the color combinations on this, I thought, are so contemporary, so trending now that I am surprised that, and especially that size, 16 by 20 is a good size. Not everyone wants, even though monumental big pieces, they don't have to buy any more art, so they think. But
well, I try to have all sizes. Like my artists and my clients joke with me because I either have paintings that are small enough, 16 by 20 and smaller, that anybody would want to buy, they could put in their homes, things like that, because I'm a fan of original pieces. Or they're the collector sizes that are the 4 foot and larger. And so my artist, that's one of my tasks, is learning to paint paintings in the middle size range, so that I have all sizes.
Well, I know my friend, when we came, he fell in love. Well, I think I tell you, Lynn is a Mardi Gras nut. So those 3 colors, he wouldn't like them individually. He said, look at his but purple, green, and gold. I mean, it fixes in his mind Mardi Gras. It's got to be the best color combination in the world. So we saw this one of your, I guess it was considered a pour, or maybe one of the throws, and I call it throws. Smaller version, white back, and there were 2 of them in those colors. One was predominantly the color, but one had the white background, which made those colors stand out even more. So we had to get it. He just loves it. So it's amazing how people react to so many things today. So
thanks to Dave for finding that metallic kit, for having that metallic canvas. So this one is called Jack the Jerk and the Rat Wars.
What?
Yes.
Wow. The title is outstanding. Go ahead.
So there is obviously somebody who I don't particularly like. Every time I have conversations with them, they rub me the wrong way. It's just their tone of voice they use. I don't know what it is, but the night of I think it might have been the night of Halloween, we had opened up. I wasn't open yet, but we had a Halloween party, and my landlord DJs and a bunch of my friends had never seen me do this style of painting yet. They had just seen my traditional oil paintings, and they said, Corey, I want to see you do it. And I said, okay. Well, the person that I don't like was staring at me the whole time, and so that's where the Jack the Jerk part came from. Well, the Rat Wars came from the fact that anybody who lives in the French Quarter knows that the French Quarter rats do whatever they want. And these rats know our schedules. And when I used to use the gallery as my studio space, if you left the gallery at night, the rats would come out. And I spent the night in the gallery for 2 nights waiting for this to dry. I left it for 1 night, and I came back the next day, and there were rat prints all over it from where they ran all over it. And you can't, I mean, if I point them out to you, you'll be like, oh, okay, but they don't look like rat prints. Like, they look like they were intentional. So yeah, that is how that came to be. It is now Jack the Jerk and the Rat Wars, and it is for sale as well. So somebody's welcome to come get it.
I'll show you how my mind goes. Thinking of those 2 things, this could be the cover photo of a digital or regular comic strip where Jack the Jerk and the rats are the created characters. You can continue the colors. So you need to collab with I have a good friend who's a cartoonist. I think it would be great. I really do. You've got this hideous, and it doesn't have to be Mr. Goody Two Shoes hero. It's just the outfit. You want the nemesis. You want the nemesis like with Jack and his rats. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's a great title and a wonderful explanation. Again, because it's so long, any idea what size that was about?
That one is 19 inches wide and 49 inches tall. So that one is actually one of my medium-sized ones. And like I said, it's for sale. It's a beautiful piece. I painted it on unstretched canvas, and then I had it stretched afterwards. So it's a nice size, and it would look good on somebody's wall, to be honest with you.
Definitely. And then to have this provenance, you'll have to write that up. If somebody buys it and remembers this, just say, well, I'm going to give you a little tribute to put on the back, a little thing about the title, and maybe watch for the future characters, something like that.
Well, the secret is that all of the paintings have the story behind them on the back of the pieces. So when you buy a piece, you get the whole story behind it, so that you have the description of how it came to be, just so you kind of have the funniness to go with it.
That is so important, because of course, the only thing most of the mass audience attributes to a painting is a signature with or without a date.
Right.
Whereas this now you're giving, and then invariably, if they've ever watched Antique Roadshow or any place that has some knowledge, that's the first thing. Well, what is the provenance? Well, how does it, you're giving them that lanyard, using our New Orleans term, to something that's great. So each piece will come not only with those basic information, but also a little synopsis of how it was created from a mental standpoint. This is great. Now we're back with those two colors again, and I was just talking about it, and we just feed you. Tell us about this one.
So this one is called It Looks Like Wolf Eyes, really because it does look like, obviously the two little beady eyes are wolf eyes,
Right.
but
Right.
this is again one of my oils. It's a 38 by 62. I painted this one 5 or 6 years ago. I was, like most of my paintings, they come from somebody did it and made me paint it. I was dating it was from a new short-term relationship. We had gotten into our first fight, and I was at home on 4th of July, and this one I actually had used old oil paint. So when you look at it, there's a different texture when you get up close to it versus how a lot of the oil paintings I paint are very smooth. This one has a lot of that rough texture to it, and it's not as blended as some of the other pieces you would see from me. And then the fact that, like I said, it looks like a wolf just happened to be. It wasn't what I intended. The name came from because somebody looked at it and said, "Oh, it really looks like a wolf's eyes." And then I looked at it and I said, "Oh, well, there we go. I guess that's what we're naming it now." So,
well, even more so for those who are interested by that creature, or dog lovers maybe do. If you, I hate to insult you, but if you hang it horizontally, it's going to be much more visible that the wolf eyes are there, just like the owl, right on the right side. So that's why I didn't attribute it. I said they look like eyes, but I didn't focus enough. I said, well, she's not doing nothing. Owl, it doesn't look like it. So I just missed up, But if I seeing as you explained it, and like I said, rotating it in my mind, I could see that as a wolf if it would be mounted horizontally. So there you go, folks. There's my silly mind again. Okay, let's see what we got here now. We're moving right along, enjoying it. Talk about basic blacks and white. Look at this. This is impressive. Yes. Go ahead.
So this one is called The Night My Arm Broke. It is a 46. It's a 44 by 40. It's an acrylic. I actually painted this one for my New Year's Eve show. In New Year's Eve, we had done the my Just Call Me Miss Pollock. We had taken all of my traditional style work out, and I had created 3 new collections for this show, one of which was a black and white collection, and when it was all predominant paintings of black and white. The reason why I called this one The Night My Arm Broke is because it was the first time I had thrown paint in years, and I just could not get it together. I mean, I felt like between what was there between my shoulder and my wrist was gone, and I just kept willy-nilly throwing paint, and I really had gotten frustrated and said, forget it, I'm gonna walk away from it, we'll see what happens. Well, when I came back the next morning, the paint had melded together, and what you don't see if you come to the gallery and look up close is when the black and the white really got together, it became very spidery, and it almost looks like there's veins inside of the black from where the white just spread out. And it just happened to be that that's just how the paint had mixed. And I love it. I mean, people come in and see this and they see faces. I mean, we just stand there and count the faces because you see faces all over the place in it.
Cool. Yes. I love it, but this is how weird my mind is. I love photography as well. Can't do it, but I do not. I normally only go to or collect black and white photographs. I think they're so much more dynamic than the color photo. Just the opposite, and I feel like I say probably just the opposite with painting. So I don't think I have a black, even though this is great, it looks great. I don't think I have a black and white painting in my collection. It's only photography that I use that, but don't follow that, folks. This is great. Go ahead.
I said you need one.
There you go. I knew that was coming. How did I know that? Well, there's going to be another piece in here too coming up. Here it is right here. Another black and white. Let's see what we got here. Is that from that same show?
Yes, same show, same collection. This is actually just an 11 by 14. It is hanging on the walls right now. Same kind of paint. The difference is that this one I actually added a little bit of water to the background to give it some of that muddied effect, and then went ahead and threw the black paint over top of it. The other thing too is that I used ketchup bottles when I squirted the paint on the canvas. So it didn't come straight from the can like it did on the last one.
I wouldn't have been able to judge that, but I do admit that I like this one. Even gets the other two. The first one was very striking because it was just the contrast predominantly of the black and white. But here, what I'm calling the introduction, what I'm seeing of a gray, with maybe that muddy effect, really brings those other two colors out. It makes it much more, to me, a much more formal photograph. Listen to me, there it goes. Formal painting than the other. So I would be torn between these two. Very nice. But this looks like this would be a great in a, like a formal dining room or someplace a little more formalized than some, maybe the other one, which could be go anywhere, of course. It's just really nice.
Well,
really
and this
nice.
one's smaller, so it could fit on any wall, really. So you're also, it's a good gift size. Now, this one is another one from that black and white collection. And this one actually has a really deep meaning to me. So everybody who knows me, that New Orleans is my soul city. I've traveled all over the world, and New Orleans was the first and the only place that my soul has ever felt at home. And I knew that within 15 minutes of being here. In 2019, I had come for Jazz Fest, and I walked from the fairgrounds back to Bourbon Street, and anybody who's done that knows how long of a walk that is. But I was walking through neighborhoods, and I don't particularly remember the road or the neighborhood, but it was definitely a neighborhood, obviously, that was affected by Katrina. And I'm walking down the sidewalk, and I look up, and I walk past this house that still has the X's on the front door. On the front of the house, and it's a nicely manicured lawn with purple flowers, and the whole neighborhood, all the rest of the houses around it, you could tell had been, repainted, and the neighborhood is rejoicing, and they're singing, and everybody's out in the streets, and, they're having a great time. And I stopped and I stared at this house for like 20 minutes, and I didn't take a picture because I didn't want to be disrespectful, but I'll never forget it, and the way that it looked, and just how to me it sunk in that so many years later you still see those reminiscences, those references, that somebody deliberately left that there. And it happened to have been that it just came out in a painting when I was painting my black and white series, and this was really in my color form what I saw on that house, and how much it really meant to me, and that how much I still carry that moment with me.
You may not believe it, but that's exactly what I saw. I said, this is so reminiscent, these X's, and especially the big one of the door. Now, of course, I never saw one in a black and white. It was always maybe red, but that doesn't mean anything. It was the information, the impact of that, and the information of how many people were gone or missing, that is indelible in anybody who went through Katrina. I really think this would certainly bring back, but in a different vein, not as sorrowful, as we were back then. But anyway, we don't want to dwell on it, but again, it's a great look. Really nice. All right, now we're getting back to color. All right, what we got here?
Oh, this one looks like egg yolk. It's a 40 by 61. This one is an acrylic. It actually came from the same time frame as the Untitled one that we saw in the beginning. I had this one again. I used a lot of ketchup bottles, and then I have these mustard bottles that have 3 tips on them, and you can tell that I was really working with the blues and the purples and the greens in the background, and I was again working through some feelings about a family member, and I got really angry with it. I threw a lot of paint on that canvas and had to walk away from it and stared at it for days, and then it just looked flat, and I threw 2 different kinds of yellow on it, and the way that they mixed made it look like it was egg yolk to me. And it almost, if you come in and look at it in the gallery, some of that yellow mixed together over that purple makes it look brown. And it was not intentional, but that's what it is it's egg yolks.
And I saw scrambled eggs, so we're on the same track. Yeah, very good. Here we go. This one is so dynamic. And I'm sorry, we've got to move on a little bit because we're well into the show and we still have a bunch of your work and I want to get them all in. But this being the circular is just fantastic. Tell us about this one. It's so darn good. Really
Yes,
is.
this one is a circle canvas. It's a 48 by 48. It's in my personal collection. So you would be able to find prints of it on fineartamerica.com. It's an acrylic and it's a party. I mean, it just is. It's a party, which is why I can't get rid of it yet because I love looking at it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't. Hey, is the canvas actually round or is it on
Yes,
a white canvas?
yes.
Even more impressive.
Dave's Art Supply is a local New Orleans art supply shop, and they sell the canvases in ovals and in triangles and in circles. And so I get them in all shapes and sizes.
Oh, sure. I've only seen one or two places that have done that, you know. So, and I kept saying, well, geez, I thought maybe because it was labor intensive that the artist or whatever was, you know, it was so difficult that they didn't want to do it. But I think it adds such another dimension to the to the painting that I don't know why I don't see more artists doing on the unusual shape rather than the linear.
There are not a lot of, like, Fredericks is one of the only canvas companies that actually makes the canvases in those odd shapes because I guess they buy the solid form. I mean, they do a phenomenal job stretching, but it's not one I would want to stretch on my own. So
Right. So, but anyway, I'm glad. Now here we go. I like this one because it's vibrant, but it's also muted, like a matte versus a shiny thing. And it's radiating out. So go ahead, tell us about it.
So this one is called Balloon Pop. It's a 54 by 40.
Wow.
The original, the background, the orange, the yellow, and green, I painted as a Facebook Live a couple of years ago. So if you go to Art by Corey June, you would probably find it somewhere in my history. But the foreground is where I was learning to break oils down and make them more of an ink-like consistency. And we put it in the balloon, and then we pop the balloon on top of the canvas to get it to do that. And so that's how this piece came to be. And this one's for sale too. So somebody come get it.
Really? And what was the size again? I missed that one. What was
This one is a 54 by 40.
Wow, nice, nice. Like I say, it's so strikingly different from the level of non-shine. I don't know, the non-gloss to me. That's what's so different about it. The rest all seem, you know, really glossy and shiny, which might not be the case, but that's what mine. But this seems so muted, carrying the colors, but on a muted,
Right.
layered level. Really nice. Okay, let me. Sorry to push, but we want to make sure. Now here, this one is something. I can't remember what this would remind me of, but I know it did remind me of something. Go ahead.
So this one's a 16 by 20. It is an acrylic. So I like to use all of the paint. And when I'm done with a bottle or a bottle I've been pouring out of, I will turn it over on a canvas and then do something fun with that canvas. Or if I need, like, I have a practice canvas, so when I'm mixing colors, I don't put them straight on the painting I'm working on. And these canvases just turn out fun. So I have a bunch of them. I mean, literally, I have one for almost every actual large piece I paint. And like I said, they're just fun to do. So just nice to have something a little different on the walls. And they've got nice texture. You can touch them, and they're really vibrant when you look at them.
Yeah. I think some of the remembrances were like of flowers, like poppies.
Yeah.
Some of them will have little dots, and of course the vibrancy of the color. So, and one more time, the size on this one?
This one's a 16 by 20.
Oh, so that's very common. So that should be something anyone could use. All right, now this one is kind of blending a lot here together, is what I see.
So this one is, now she is an entire piece all on her own. She is actually sold now. She wasn't sold when I had originally sent this to you. But it is she's actually a 58 by 50. And
wow,
this piece, again, the background was one that I did on a Facebook Live years ago. And the foreground was the same, learning how to break down oil paint. But the oil paint I used is black light and glow in the dark. And so when you turn off the lights, it glows. When you put black light on it, it gives you a different sheen. And then when you saturate it in black light, you get this whole entire constellation that comes out. And when the woman who bought it, it was this whole thing. I mean, it was 30 minutes of us staring at this painting in the dark. And she she just couldn't not have it. And it was moving to me. You can buy prints of this, but it would still probably never look the same as the original does, because it won't glow the same.
Yeah, no disrespect to your work, but I mean, that just sounds phenomenal. To have that kind of lanyard, that kind of multi-viewing is just unheard of, really, in most situations. So see, with whoever that lucky purchaser was, she certainly was, I think, lucky and or good eyes when it do, because I think that's a great advantage. All right. Folks, we haven't told you real quickly, if you want to make any comments on whatever platform you're watching, do that, and we'll post them up here and answer any questions, even though I know it's kind of late and we still got a little bit more to go. Now, this one is real polished. I love the way we got the blues, the greens, and in the flowing circles. I don't know, ringlets. I don't know what it's called, but I really like it. It really is a soft movement to it. Go ahead.
This one is a 50 by 48. It's an oil on canvas. This one is DJHP number 3. This one I actually painted. I believe I painted this one the night of Halloween. This would be traditionally how I paint. This would be my style. These are the colors I use a lot of. And as you can tell, I use varying colors of blue. Every color blue that I use it's a pre-mixed color. I don't mix them myself. I just go online and find all the colors of blue that I want, and I buy them and I come home and I paint with them.
Sure. Well, I really like it. Like I say, it has a wonderful delicateness to it, but in such a fluid movement. Like it's like a continuum. Like I said, like you really just kept bringing the circles around, bringing without any stoppage, which I'm sure was not the case. But I really like it. And again, a great size. And that's still available?
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. All right, here we go. And then this is even better. This reminded me of wine bottles, but in that same color genre, the bottom of the wine bottle, in the same color genres that we were just looking at the prior photo, but more vibrant. Go ahead.
So this is the largest painting I've ever painted. It's a 72 by 6. Well, I take that back. I've painted a backdrop bigger than this, but this is the largest piece that I've painted since I've been in New Orleans. It's a 72 by 60. It is an oil painting. I painted this one on New Year's Eve, sitting on the floor. I destroyed an entire dress, and I painted it with my fingers. It is for sale. It's got a whole story that goes with it. And honestly, if somebody offered me the right price, they could have the dress that went with it too, because I've got the dress and the petticoat that are destroyed from when I sat on it and painted it.
That's additional provenance that we don't need to know about. But this must not have been hanging at the opening we went, because I would have, I'd have stuck on that one. Yeah.
Because I'm getting ready to hang it when we redo the walls again this week. It'll be hung, just for a short term, because it is so large. But it's available for sale online. And again, I ship and all that good stuff too. Okay. So this one and the next one are actually 2. They go together. They're acrylic. They're 16 by 20s. And they're actually, each one is a side of a heart. And when you put them together, it makes one fully functioning heart. And then when you take them apart, they're individual pieces. I painted them as one piece. I painted them with the intention of maybe best friends who live on different sides of the country, or couples that don't live together would potentially buy them and separate them, knowing that they're supposed to go together.
I understand. And I don't know. I thought for some reason I was able to put them together to show them together, but I have not. So that's why we're showing them individually. And I apologize, audience, because once again, my old limitations. But you can see one is the massive purples and the other is the blues and blacks. Now, I tell you, when I first saw these, I didn't see heart. I saw a pair of ears. And don't be insulted, because either way, it's still that they're so attractive to be mounted together, but also with space, or as you say, for sharing partners or relatives or friends, where each one has a complement of the other. So when they go, they can see the complementary piece, which I just think is very, very almost genius. So I really did like both of these, and especially together. But again, I apologize for not being able to put it. Now here we go. We got a couple more that are really vibrant, and this one is way out there. Go ahead.
This one's a little teeny 8x10. It's an acrylic on canvas. This was when I first started practicing doing the dirty pours. I don't particularly do dirty pours. Usually it's straight from the bottle or something to canvas. I don't mix it with anything. But this one is for sale too. Like I said, it's just a small 8x10, cute little coffee table piece. It's got some nice texture to it though. And it is actually, the picture doesn't do it justice. It's very glossy. So it's got a nice shine to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that it wants to shine, but on on the camera it just doesn't bring it out. I think that may be it. Let me just check and see. Yes, that is. Wow, we made them all in. I was worried because you've done a great job of. Most of the other folks don't want to give a lot of the inspiration, or they'll give maybe one or two pieces that mean to them. But I think you've done that in almost every piece, which I think is so important to have that story related. I mean, the end result is what we all are interested in primarily, but to have background to see what the artist thought, because just like me, seeing different things in what you did or someone else does, to have what you thought as being the artist is good to blend. Well, either to contradict yourself or to say, oh, well, that's what it is, or that's something I didn't even see. So that has been delightful, and I thank you for that, because like I say, no other artist show has done the extent that you have with regard to describing each piece, as opposed to just dimensions and maybe occasionally an inspiration. So that's great. All right. Now, folks, let's see. I'm looking at the time. All right. We don't have much more at all. Again, let's go over some of the, rehash some of the important details. As we mentioned, we have Corey June, and you won't see her name on the gallery. If you followed the promos that we did on Facebook, you would saw the sign in front of the gallery. But as you mentioned, it's very vibrant. 11, once again, 11, what is the address? 11 something Decatur. I always forget.
It's 1129 Decatur. It's the big green and pink building. You can't miss it. Literally, I'm right in between the two La Bella Vita boutiques, and then the Santos and the Abbey are on the other side of those.
Right. You might find those colors on one of the houses, but not on Decatur. You won't find those colors together. And once again, the days and hours of operation for them to stop by and see some of this work.
I am open Tuesday through Sunday, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. Mondays are appointment only. And I live above the gallery, so it doesn't, sometimes if we're slow, I'll shut the doors and go upstairs and paint. All you have to do is shoot me a message, or if you come by and the doors are shut, just look up. If the windows are open, call my name. Somebody will poke their head out and they'll come down and let you in.
And hence the reason we're doing the program today on a Monday afternoon. We're pulling her away from paint and not away from customers. Well, one last thing on that is, how about next schedule? We have a scheduled event coming up, like on the weekend.
We haven't picked a date yet, but our next event is, the next challenge is going to be to challenge the artist to paint something they hate with something they hate. So, yes. Wow. So they have to use mediums that they don't want to use, and that they would never really use on things that they would never really use. And they have to paint things that they don't particularly like. It's a tough challenge, but I think it's a good challenge. And it's one of the artists came up with the idea to paint something you hate. And I said, well, if you're going to paint something you hate, then you paint it with something you hate. So it forces all of us, including myself, to step out of our comfort zones and really rely on each other to learn new things. Again, because I'm big. My gallery is about growth. My big thing is I moved here with no clientele, no basis. So I'm forced to grow and become a different artist. And since I've been here, I'm a stronger artist than I ever was. So if I'm doing that, I expect my artists to do the same. And, I've been lucky enough that I have had genuine connections and artists that have come to me that have been looking for what I have to offer. And it's been a great experience. So when you come to the gallery, you might find people painting, you might find people singing, you might find people playing some music. I do have a local duo coming on the 16th at 7 p.m. To play some music that night for us. And I'll have, on Saturdays, I'm starting to have a card reader here, just because it's Saturdays in the French Quarter, and why not? Let's do something fun. So I know everybody thinks that once you start to get down to Lower Decatur, there's not much there, but we are down here having some fun. So you got to come down and say hi to us.
Great, great. That's exciting. In fact, we used to have a show called Talk to the Tarot. We have a real good friend. She's a medium, and then now she's going into shaman, whatever shaman is. And she's in California, and we just never have resurrected the show since COVID and since my move. But maybe in the long run, we could develop something along that on the nights that you would do. Maybe she could do some, because she's great on, especially as a
Yeah.
medium. So people come into the thing that she could actually contact some of their loved ones or enemies or whatever. Anyway, that's for future discussion. But once again, folks, we're so pleased that Corey's come on and brought herself, her own works, and the ability for our artists to grow and to have a places to display. And I don't believe, and I'm going to really presume, from what I know of her, she's not the snotty, picky type of gallery that, oh, you don't have the pedigree. You know, I can't let a new artist come unless I know. I've met a lot of that in collecting and also doing these shows, and they do such a disservice because they think only if they have a pedigree or they're going to get the moolah. They're not really concerned about the artist, they're worried about how much moolah. So you're giving them the chance, and that's what we do with this show. We try to give the artists, no matter what, even though we don't get a lot of established artists. In the old days, we did, but I'm pleased because I would rather have a new chef, a new artist any day than someone who's already established. Because for the most part, a lot of them don't get adventurous. They start settling into what sells, and that's their livelihood for the rest of the time. They're not worried about anything else. Whereas you and young folks like you all are always trying to reinvent yourself to make yourself grow as well as entertain your audience. Okay. Anything else you want to tell us? If not, we're going to say adieu and give the people a little post program credits for what's going to come on.
It's been a great hour, Bob. Thank you so much for having me. Like, I've been so looking forward to this, and I'm so glad that we were able to get it worked out.
Oh, you better believe. I was really upset when we had that minor glitch, but thank goodness that's why we try and connect early before the countdown clock. So we were able to resolve it during that time. Take care, Dan. We'll probably be down there fairly soon. Not, it'll be about a couple of weeks. So we'll see you soon.
Bob.
Good deal. Bye-bye. All right. Let's see what we got. Hi, folks. One more last dance. Bob Bockelman. Wasn't that great? Again, see how in New Orleans town that we can't call her New Orleans talent, but she did admit she's growing since she came to New Orleans. She came from Virginia, and you know, again, we still like our New Orleans talent. But our show is open to artists of any genre and anywhere in the world. So again, if you know artists, we're always appealing to any nationality that can obviously communicate. We have a lot of Japanese, a couple of others that aren't bilingual. So that's the biggest couple of Italian chefs that want to come on, but I don't know how to solve it because I certainly can't speak much Italian, and I know how much most of the audience is depending on English for the good or the bad of it. All right. As I mentioned, we don't have anything lined up the rest of this week, so it's an easy week, I guess you might call. But we are lining up more this week for future weeks. So stay tuned, watch our promos, especially the 2 new shows that haven't even. We have 3. We have one. We can even get a wine specialist. And we're going to do a wine show called Right Revue, and can't get anyone to come on with wine and spirits locally or nationally. You know, again, I think they value themselves and feel that this is no value to them. Okay, enough about that bad news. Thank you again for watching. Watch on all the, this will all be on YouTube, and we're put on LinkedIn and Instagram if we can, and Twitter for the ones that don't take us live. You can see it there. Take care and come back to us. And as our motto says, stay tuned and longer. Bye-bye.